Hello, everyone, and welcome to Out of Nowhere. Well, I've another fantastic guest on my show today. His name is Lee Ample. Lee is a retired maths and physics teacher from Illinois and the owner of the mysterious 35-acre land called Airfield along the Bray Road near Elkhorn, Wisconsin. His experience and research were featured in Linda Goffrey's book, Monsters Among Us, and Small Town Monsters production. Can we please welcome Lee to the show? Hello there.
Well, hello there. Thank you so much for having me, Bob. Looking forward to it, and thank you to all the listeners. And I hope they enjoy it, and I hope they find it educational and entertaining and worthwhile. So thank you for having me.
Hey, I'm sure they will do. When you bought the farm, did you know what you'd let yourself in for?
That, that's a great question, Bob. Oh wow. Oh wow. Wow. No, no, no. The story is 2007. Through my mother's estate, my brother Fred Hampel, who's helped me a lot and has been very beneficial. He was a worked for IBM, computer science engineer, and he said, "Well, why don't you get some land? Because my wife and I had a horse boarding operation and a horse training operation here in Wakanda, Illinois. That's 30 miles from Elkhorn." And he said, "Why don't you buy some land for making hay?" Because I was renting property for my mother, and when she passed, I knew that I would have to, give up the land with my two brothers, and so he said, "Go ahead and find some land." So I just went looking for land in 2007, and I found 35 acres on a very rural area by Elkhorn, Wisconsin, and that land was purchased. Now, I didn't start farming there until 2011. Um, I was share farming with a neighbor, and we were doing shares on making the hay. And I was still with my mother, and then she passed away in 2010. Rest her soul and blessed her. So I started farming in 2011. So I farmed there in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, by Bray Road for 2011, 2012, 2013. I was there. I was baling hay. I was cutting hay. Nobody said anything to me about a beast of Bray Road or a dog man. The people there will not talk about it until September of 2013. And I cut hay, and I had some some guys from Wakanda, Illinois, and some from Elkhorn who were helping me. The hay was ready on a Sunday, so I called the guys in Illinois. I said, "Can you guys help bale hay Sunday?" They go, "Oh no, the Bears are playing the Packers." Now, the Bears playing the Packers is probably one of the biggest rivalry in sports in the U.S. Well, I think it is in the U.S. It's huge. And they said, "Oh no, no, we can't." So "Oh no," I called the guys in Elkhorn. Can you help me bale hay Sunday? And "Oh no, the Bears are playing the Packers." I go, "Whoa, okay. Well, I got to bale this hay." So I go there, and I'm driving up to my farm, and two of my neighbors were standing out in their yard. And I pulled in, and I said, "Would you guys just help me load about 600 bales of hay?" And I pull them inside, and because it's supposed to rain the next day on Monday. They said, "Sure, we'll come down." So they did. And I said, "What would you want?" And they said, "Oh, just get us a case of Coors beer." And I said, "Okay." So we finished baling. We're standing at the end of my shed, looking directly west over my 35 acres. And my one neighbor says, "It's the first time I heard anything about any beast of Bray Road or any dog man, anything came out of nowhere," as your show says. He says to me, I'm standing in my barn looking out at my hayfield, and he says to me, "Lee, the werewolf lives on your property."
Oh, God.
How would you like? I said, "What are you talking about? A werewolf lives on my property?" And he goes, "Yeah." My wife and my mother-in-law saw it in 2010. He starts telling me about these other farmers that have seen it, and and since well, the late 80s and into the 90s and into the 2000s. His wife saw it in 2010 on the road, and I go, your eyes are brown. You're so full of it. But you know, yeah, that was my introduction to really this world. I was a math teacher, computer science teacher, and I had just really no interest in Bigfoot or I never heard of the Dogman before, and cryptids at that time. And they were just okay, probably hoaxes, and that. And and if you'd have told me in 2013 when he told me the werewolf was living on my property, and I would have, and you tell me and Lee in 2025, you're going to be saying there's a 6.5 to 7 foot dog man, shoulders 3.5 feet wide, walking around on your farm. What I mean, what would you'd have had my chainsaw? I'd have bet my dog, my truck. I would have lost everything. But I'm saying that now. In 2025, there's a 6.5 to 7 foot dog man walking around on my property in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, by Bray Road, called the Beast of Bray Road, and I've seen it visually 3 times. I have now over 100,000 pictures in my computer. I've had 1 to 3 cameras out for the last 12 years, and I've approached it as scientifically as I could. I have repeatable experiments I've done, and it's now my life's goal to take data and just record it as a scientific expedition.
So what do you think? What do you think it is primarily then?
Whoa! I mean, it does things that animals do. I have put out 20 roadkill deer on my farm in the last 12 years. Actually, the first 6 years. Then they stopped me, but it took away the deer. It cut parts off the deer. It would take the front leg off the deer, would cut it off and take it away. So it has some animal aspects to it. But then I'm tracking it across my farm as let's say it's snow because I have a hay field. I'll be tracking it in snow, and the tracks will just end in snow.
So
Well,
do you think
no
it's
animal can do that, so that's
no?
paranormal,
I was
supernatural.
going to say, do you think it's interdimensional then?
Yes, I do. Mathematics has proven there is multi-universes. Now, Einstein proved there was black holes in the 20s, 30s, and we never found a black hole until I think in the 60s, because we didn't have the technology to locate a black hole. We could only see light. We couldn't recognize an area that was just completely devoid of light. So it took 50 years for Einstein to say there's black holes and for the scientific community to find it. I'm saying now, this creature, this multidimensional creature perhaps, does live in several dimensions. Mathematics says that, but maybe 50 years from now, somebody will look at my data and say, Lee had these pictures of this Beast of Bray Road, and it showed interdimensional aspects to it, and could easily be 50 years. Science doesn't move quickly.
When you talk about sightings, what time of day are they typically reported then?
Oh, all day. I have seen it 3 times: 2017, 2021, and 2023. In 2017, it was 10:30 at night. 2021, it was 3:30 in the afternoon, and 2023, it was about 10:30 at night. But people see it during the day or at night, a variety of times.
Yeah.
In the whole year, all around the year. See it in the winter or summer.
When did you get in touch with Linda Godfrey then?
Well, so I started doing experiments after my neighbor told me that the Beast of Bray Road, the werewolf, lives on my property. I started doing experiments by putting out raccoon, and I put a raccoon on my far fence line, and like a couple days after he told me, and I went back there, and that raccoon was cut open all the way down, and all the innards were gone 2 days later.
Oh God.
And I grew up on a farm in northern Illinois, and I know what animals can do. Now, this particular one, I dropped that raccoon on my fence line in September, and the grass was easily 3 feet tall. Well,
Right.
that raccoon was still down in that grass, no paths in there. So I'm thinking the only thing I could do that would be a hawk. Got in there, pecked it open, and took the innards, but that's really
Yeah.
difficult. But then I went back 2 days later, and and that raccoon was out of that hole nest, or whatever you call it, no paths into it, piled in a pile 15 feet away. So I go down to my neighbor and I go, okay, what have you been out on my property? And he goes, what? I go, he said, why? What happened? And so I told him the story. He goes, yeah, well, the beast is there. I told him, told you the werewolf was there. I said, he said, no, Lee, I wouldn't go on your property. And he wouldn't. He wouldn't. I mean,
No.
farmers don't go on other farmers' property without permission.
No, without
But
permission.
right. But I then I put out a deer. My brother Fred brought up a deer, and strange things happened to that. And then I was just bewildered. I didn't know what to do, and I started looking on Google, and Linda Godfrey's name came up in October of 2013. So I called her, or actually I emailed her, and we got together in October, and she came up to the farm, and her first time at the farm, I had a deer out at that time. Her first time, we got out of the truck, and there's a smell that comes there too. Dog skunk urine that's been in the sun for 3 days. And we got out of the truck. I said, oh, there's that smell. And I walked over to a deer that I had there. I said, oh, the deer doesn't smell. And when we started looking at the SD cards here, Linda or I was in this paranormal mist that comes that cloaks all of your body or half your body.
Hmm.
So I contacted her in October because just her name came up, and she was greatly beneficial. Rest in peace. Love her dearly. She she also wrote, the book Monsters Among Us by Linda Godfrey. I'm 3 chapters in that book, but I'm Roy Smith. they wouldn't use my name, but I'm Roy Smith in that book. And then we were together, several videos and several podcasts, and over the years, and love her dear, and rest in peace, Linda Godfrey.
There's a question here from, I think it's from Steph. Hi, Lee. What's your opinion about the dogmen being involved with government agencies, cross-breeding type experiments?
I have no experience. I have not experienced anything along those lines. I mean, if it is involved with, somebody created it, and involved with experiments, I don't think they're experiments from our government or from our military, because I have pictures of a whole multitude of UFOs on my property, many UFOs and lights and orbs, and so I could entertain the idea that the dog man comes from another dimension, or maybe just from this dimension, but from other universes or other planets, and is doing experiments here. And because it just has too many supernatural qualities to be able to be controlled, be able to be able under the control of our military or our government. That's how I feel. It would have to be experiments being done by aliens, and I think that's very possible with the number of UFOs that I've seen on my property.
Tell us about some of these footprints you've got.
Oh, the footprints. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'll show you
See,
number one.
tracks are facts. Yes. Um, this track, now, I hope the listeners or audience can see it. It has 5 toes, and it has 7 pads. It has a center pad and a heel pad, 5 toes, and the nails are showing. So it's a canid. It's not a feline, and it's about 3 inches by 3.5 inches. So it's large, wolf size large. But this track, I've seen it thousands of times on my property, and on the neighbor's property, And all the track experts tell me this cannot exist. There's no track like this that can exist. But here, there's a picture of it right there that your listener's audience is looking at. That track is on my property every week. I mean, it is every week. I'll find tracks out there. And I, my brother Fred contacted the Natural History Museum in Chicago, and they gave us the name of the best track expert that they have in the world, they said. And so Fred, my brother Fred, sent that track to this individual in Utah. I think it was Utah or Montana. And he sent back the next picture you had. And if you could put up the next picture, he sent this back explaining what this track was. Yes. Yeah. All right. You got, okay, there you got it. There, people can see it. On the left of the picture is a picture that I took of the track that I've seen, and I have castings of it. I have a model made of what the foot would have to look like and things of that type. But this was sent to this individual as a track expert that the Natural History Museum in Chicago uses, and he sent back the following picture on the right-hand side. He has a blue. He said he's a blue animal and an orange animal. He said it's not a double hit from the same animal. He said it's one animal, let's say, is going at 12 o'clock, and another animal crossed it going at like 2 o'clock. You can see the orange prints going across it kind of at a diagonal. Well, I said, I tracked this for a half a mile. I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. And he said, that's what it is. I'm glad I could help you. But that's not what it is. How could you have a track that one's going forward, this guy's crossing it, and then he crosses one, he's got to go cross the next one, cross the next one. I mean, he just made this up because he's never seen a track like this. He had to have some explanation for it, and that explanation is just totally wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. I'll show you another one later.
Yeah, that's another one. I don't know if people can see it, but that's in mud kind of. They've got the 5 toes around the outside, and there is a center pad and a heel pad. And that's another example of it. I mean, I have many pictures of it. And that's just another example of 5 toes, 7 pad track, which no animal in the world has, but there's another picture of it. And I think you have another picture there. I think I sent you 3 or 4, but I have hundreds and hundreds of them.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's a good one. See that one, you can see the 5 toes around the outside, and the center pad and heel pad not quite as pronounced in that picture. Sometimes he walks more on his toes, but that picture that's 3 inches by 3.5 inches. Coyotes are small; they're like 2 by 1.5.
Right. Yeah, very, very strange. Your voice has just gone off a minute.
You know,
you're back on. Right,
7 pads.
Right. I think you're on again.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I on?
Yeah, you're back on again. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that creature makes that track. In 2017, May 5th, 2017 was the first time I saw it, and I was going out of my driveway at 10:30 at night, and I was turning to go south on Bowers Road. My farm actually driveway is on Bowers. Bray Road is about a quarter mile west of me, and I turned on Bowers, and it's been sighted on Bowers many, many times. And here ahead of me, 2 telephone poles about 150 feet, were 2 red eyes next to the road looking at me about 3 feet up in the air. And I knew right away this is not a coyote or a deer. They have yellow to yellow-green eyes. So I accelerated, threw my brights on. It went down this embankment, which was 4.5 feet deep. I measured the embankment. Yeah. May 5th, grass was a foot high on top. And he's looking over the top at me with these brilliant orangish red eyes. and I'm accelerating now. I throw my brights on, and instantly he's 15 to 20 feet out in the field. He turns. I see one red eye. Instantly turns another 15, 20 feet, jumps or flies. I don't know. And he turns and I see another red eye. But I couldn't see any body. I only could see these red eyes. But that was a sighting that was absolutely true because, well, do you want to know the whole story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an eyewitness report. Eyewitness reports are subject to interpretation by one's mind. I mean, our eyes let in the light, our mind interprets what the light comes in, and then not only interprets, but you know, creates a reality that we're looking at. So I wanted to talk to somebody as soon as I could to explain to them what I had seen because I knew I had seen the Beast of Bray Road. I mean, he's looking at me over 5.5 feet. His eyes are above that. He is 6.5, 7 feet tall. That's absolute proof of that. So what I think I did, I went down the road, turned around, another farmer's yard, came back, shined the lights out in the field, and of course didn't see anything. Pulled in my barn, my driveway, and went down to the end of my barn and called my brother Fred. Now I know it's late, and he goes to bed a little bit early, so it's late. So I call him because I want to tell somebody right away, so my mind doesn't manufacture anything. And so I called him and told him the story very calmly. Yeah, Fred, there's this thing out with red eyes, and so I told him the story, and you know we talked some and talked about it and so forth, and that night when I went to bed, I mean, I have a room there in my barn that I sleep in up there. I went to bed and I became very ill that night. Vomiting and running to the bathroom, and I became very ill.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and that's scary too. It was like food poisoning. But my brother Fred the next morning was trying to call me, and I didn't answer. I think I heard it ringing, but I was tired. I was sick, you know. And so then he called my wife and our son here in Wakanda, Illinois, and said Lee saw that thing last night, and now I can't get a hold of him. Well, you know about the missing person reports. I mean,
Yeah.
missing person, they'll see a light or they'll see a UFO, and then they don't come back. So that's a concern that my wife and people do have, because there are orbs up there, there are light shafts up there. And so he called my wife and our son, and he said Lee's not answering. It was in the morning, and he saw the beast last night, and he said I'm going to go up there. Well, and our son Jason said I'll go. So he came up. He came in the shed, and he said, "You okay? You okay?" And I go, "Well, boy, I know I'm really sick, but let's go down. I want to look for tracks right now. Right? I know where it was at. Now you would be another eyewitness. Now I know you're my son, but at least it's another eyewitness that when we find these tracks, it's going to be right where I said it was, not some other place,
Yeah.
So we went down right where I saw it by the telephone post. We went down into the field. Now had been harvested corn, so there was a lot of debris. But right along the edge of that field, here are those 3.5 by 3-inch, 5-toed, 7-pad tracks in the ground right there. The only tracks there. So I saw the animal, creature, cryptid, whatever you want to call it, because that makes those tracks, and that's phenomenal to me. Phenomenal data.
Of course it is. For you to see him, and then you've got 2 more witnesses as well, seeing the pads there.
See, oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Many people have seen the pods. The what did you say? The what there?
But other people have seen the footprints as well.
Yeah. Footprints. Oh yeah. 15, 20 people have seen the footprints. Oh yes. Many people have seen the footprints.
What other?
Do you want to know the rest of that story?
Yeah, please, yeah.
So my brother's daughter, she has every New Year's Day she has a New Year's brunch, or she did, and so this would have been January 1st of 2015, and so and I had seen it in May of 2014, or I'm sorry, 2017. This would have been 2018, January 1st, 2018. And I was talking with my brother Fred and his wife Sharon, and I said, I'm sorry that I called you so late. It had to be like, almost 11 o'clock. And they go, 11 o'clock? It was after midnight. We looked at the clock. It was after midnight.
Oh
I
my
go,
God.
what are you talking about after midnight? And they, yeah, it was after midnight. And I tried to call T-Mobile to verify when I called, but they only hold the data for 30 days. So I couldn't get what I had called in May. But they said, no, you called after midnight. Now, Bob, where was I for an hour to an hour and a half that I have no awareness of where I was at? I thought what I did is pulled down the road, turned around in the driveway, came back, shined my lights on the field, pulled into my driveway, and called Fred. That would have been like 10 to 11, maybe
Yeah.
anytime from 10:45 to 11. And it was after midnight.
So you got some missing time.
Yes, that is really a contemplating factor when you think what reality is and what isn't, and what you think reality is isn't, because I had no idea where I was for an hour to an hour and a half of time. I don't even know where I could have been. Could I have been taken, come back? I don't know.
Exactly. You just don't know, do you?
No, that's scary. It's got a lot of adjectives to it. Scary and interesting, and you know, uh,
Yeah, no,
just
you had no.
overwhelming.
I'm going to say you didn't have any strange markings on your body or anything like that.
I
Just
do.
missing time.
I do. But that came much later. I had another incident, and I have 2 marks on my arm that I hadn't had before. But that was just like 2 years ago.
Right. Have you seen any other animals around around the farm?
Have I seen?
Any other animals have you seen around the farm?
I'm sorry.
Phenomena.
What kind of animals?
Any strange ones besides the werewolf?
Oh, I have very strange ones on my game cameras. Yes, yeah, I have very strange ones on my game cameras. Yes, I do. Just ones that one looks like a pterodactyl flying across my field. Other ones look like 2-legged frogs. But I've never seen anything other than the Beast of Bray Road, visually. But I have many on my camera that are very strange, along with the UFOs that are very strange.
What theories have been proposed to explain the sightings then?
Well, I mean, I think that's too early in the process. I mean, they since the 80s they've been seen by neighbors in that area. So certainly in the court of law, um, eyewitness reports have a value. If you get enough people to say that so and so had, I saw so and so commit a murder or a burglary or whatever. If you have enough people say that, it becomes a valid fact. Now, I mean, I know 5, 6 neighbors I've talked to, and they tell me that each one of those, there's 5, 6 more, there's 5, 6 more. So the neighbors will not talk about it to me. I'm the only one that is talking about it because I'm doing experiments, I'm doing scientific data, and I have pictures. Everybody else has eyewitness report. So if you go by the eyewitness report, it's an animal because they see it walking or running or picking up a raccoon and eating the raccoon. But I think we don't. It's not just an animal. It's got supernatural qualities to it.
I can imagine it does. How does the media coverage influence public perception of creatures like the Beast of Bray Road?
How does media what?
How does the media coverage influence public perception of creatures like the beast of Bray Road?
Yeah, I don't really follow a lot of other areas because I'm just so focused on my hayfield. Um, I've been in a couple of the newspapers in that area and they've been fine. But the what you hear, maybe on TV or in the media, is becoming more open-minded. I would say, from what I knew, you know, in 2013, I didn't know anything about this. I saw that one film of the one in California, but I
Oh,
didn't pay attention to it. Um, Now I think it's covered more readily and maybe more honestly. I think.
yeah, I do. Yeah. There's a question from Melly, I think.
Sure.
Lee, has the dogman on your land ever attacked anyone that lives near you?
Um, it attacked a car on Bray Road. Um, it it has not attacked. It has chased people out of cornfields. It growled at me. I was in my truck and it was right by the side of my truck at night. I couldn't see it. It was it was a grunt growl at me. But the only thing that's ever damaged that I've ever heard of is a car. It jumped on the trunk of a car and scratched the car's paint of a lady on Bray Road in the 90s. But it has exhibited aggressive behavior in several cases, but has not really ever finished the attack. They'll chase and then it'll just stop and stop that chase and it won't continue.
Yeah, I presume it does because I suppose you. So, do you go down there regular or are you there all the time?
Well, usually 2 3 times a week I have to go to the farm and maybe work on equipment or we do use it as a hay field and my wife here in Wakanda we have horses and cows and sheep and goats that require hay. So I go up 2 to 3 days a week. I'm there often and pick up my SD cards or do experiments and that type of thing. Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yes.
Doing experiments.
Oh yeah. Yes. Very much so. Yes. Many experiments. Try to keep you try. I put out 20 deer. 19 of the deer were um, parts of it were carried away, and the whole deer would be carried away. Now that is not normal. Coyotes is the only thing in the area that eat deer. We have no bear there. We have no wolves in southern Wisconsin.
No.
And and one deer out of the 20 deer, one deer remained there, and the coyotes cleaned it up, and those bones are still there. But the other 19 deer all have a story, all have a interesting fact. Some repeatable concepts occurred, and some non-repeatable occurred. But the 19 deer were all carried away. That was very repeatable. They carried away carcasses that were all maggots, and they carried away deer that were they had mutilated them first and cut parts
Yeah.
off, and then take the deer away. So I mean that's just some of the experiments that I've been involved with, and I still have ongoing experiments now.
And you've left other animals as well there, haven't you?
I'm sorry, what?
You've left other dead animals there as well.
Yeah, the 20 deer were roadkill deer, and I put them on my property. Yes, they were all everything I put out has been roadkill, or I'll buy a cooked chicken sometime or something like that. I've done experiments with cooked chicken, raccoons that were
Oh yeah,
roadkill.
raccoons.
They were
They were roadkill.
yes. Hmm.
Are you ever frightened when you go out when you're going out investigating?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, when it runs beside your truck and grunts and growls at you, you get a little nervous. But um, the yes, in 2016, my neighbor, she had grown up right there on the farm, and then they had bought 2 acres and they had built a little side house. And she found out that I was putting out cameras, or I told her that I put out cameras, and I had pictures of the beast of Bray Road that shows he's 6.5 to 7 feet tall. Actually, I told her daughter, and then like a couple days later, she came over. She drove over to my barn on her lawn tractor, pulled in my barn and set it off, and she goes, "Lee, if you go out there at night, be careful." Now she had lived right in that area for 60 years.
Oh my God.
And she said, "When Lee, you go out there at night, be careful." And I go, wait, and she starts her lawnmower back up, her garden lawn tractor, and she goes back to her house. Well, there's more to that story, And she's the one who had the property and had sold it to her son, and I had purchased the property, or we had purchased the property from her son. So yes, there's a concern. And another lady used to go walk on my property, and I went and talked to her, and I said, I have some pictures of a very large creature out there, the beast of Bray Road. She said, "Oh, I know." She said, I said, "I just want you to be careful." She said, "Well, if my dog doesn't go, I don't go." So people just live with it. If her dog wouldn't go down into my field through on a path, a lane, then she wouldn't go that day because the dog would be nervous about it. And that's a common thing. If I go out in the winter and see snow tracks of coyotes and deer, I probably won't see any creature tracks. If I go out and don't see tracks of coyote and deer, I'll more than likely then see creature tracks that day. So the other animals certainly know about it and avoid it.
Have you ever known a Bigfoot round by you as well?
There's one guy reported he said he saw a Bigfoot like a couple miles away, unverified. It was an eyewitness report, but it was like a half mile from him, and he called it a Bigfoot, but there was nobody went over and looked for tracks. I mean, nobody does the things I do. I go and look for tracks. I try to collect data. Uh, and so that's the only one that somebody had called a Bigfoot, but that was unverified from the standpoint it was quite a ways away, and could he have seen the dog man? Sure. Says he saw something large and hairy and walking along a field.
Well,
But no.
I'm going to say, because lots of Bigfoot sightings in America, in most counties, in most states, should I say.
Yes.
When you talk to the people about sightings of werewolves, what conclusion do they come to it then?
Well, I haven't talked to anybody. I mean, my neighbors won't talk. I don't know.
Oh, the witnesses. What do they say about it?
Linda Godfrey, she interviewed the witnesses. I have not interviewed anybody. Nobody, nobody I know will talk about it. They'll just say the people I've talked to that have told me, 5 people have told me they've seen it, and it's just a very brief description. No discussion of what they think it is or anything like that. I've never had any of those discussions with other people. I focus on my property and my hayfield and try to do it as scientifically as I can. Repeatable experiments, and I have a large amount of data. I have over 100,000 pictures on my computer, and most of those have paranormal, supernatural elements to them. 100,000. So I focus on that and try to do repeatable experiments that indicate what's there, what it is, and I have very high EMF readings out in my field, and I have no electricity out there. I can't have any EMF, but I have very high milligauss readings in my field.
Ah, right.
So I do a lot of those experiments with the EMF field. Compasses don't work right out there. Global position GPS doesn't work out there all the time.
Do you think there's a portal near your house then?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you think there's a portal near your house?
Oh yeah, I have pictures of portals. Yes, I have pictures of openings in the sky with my game cameras. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the mist what appears now and then.
The mist?
Yeah.
Okay. So out of the deer that I put out, the mist occurs quite often. The deer that I put out, um, I should have dozens and dozens of pictures of the beast, the dog man, the creature, within 15, 20 feet of my camera because there'll be a deer there. And then an hour and a half later, there'll be no pictures taken and the deer will be gone. Or what occurs is this, um, well, I know it's a paranormal mist because I've been in it and I can't see it. A cloaking mist, we'll call it.
Yes.
And I've been I've been in this cloaking mist to look at the deer, and half of my body has disappeared in the game camera. Half my body is gone, and this cloaking mist is there. It's not anything on the camera because these are, a lot of them are very clear days, and it's not a drop of water because it'll go away anywhere from a half a second to 10 seconds. It'll just disappear. So um, it came and the deer would be gone, removed, or the deer would just be moved, and this cloaking mist would come, and then the deer is moved or gone, and I can't see what did it. So I know it has the ability to do this cloaking mist, and it stayed for as long as 6 hours. Sometimes it stayed for 6 hours, and that deer then was gone at the end of the 6 hours.
So it's cloaking, isn't it?
Yes, I call it a cloaking. Yeah, absolutely, it's cloaking.
And
Yes,
sometimes there's a black mist as well, is there? Is he a black mist?
I get black mist. Uh-huh. I have mist is either white or kind of a multicolored mist, or a black mist, or a brown mist. All of those have been there when the deer have been there, and they're still there. I still get those mists on my camera um, often, couple, three, four, maybe 10 times a month, actually.
Yeah. If you're ever out sometime, can you smell some bad smells now and then?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. The time Linda was there, it's a distinctive dog urine smell. It's been in the sun for like 3 days. Very terrible smell. Um, one story on the smell. 2016, I had baled hay with a bunch of guys, and my mother always said, "Leroy, you have to feed the balers. You have to take them for food. Give them dinner or something."
Yeah.
And she always did. When I bailed in at her land in Burlington, Illinois, or in her property, she uh, she always made sandwiches. So when she passed, I had to feed the baler. So we completed baling, went and ate, came back, and I had one tractor out in my field, a 1947 Alice Chalmers C. Very nice little tractor, good running little tractor. And through the process of getting all the hay up and the baler and everything up, that little tractor did not get up to the barn. So I walked out to my field. I walked about halfway out in my field, a quarter mile from the barn. I walked to the tractor to get it and bring it up to the barn. Well, when I got to the tractor, the smell was there. That smell I've smelled 4 or 5, 6, 7 times, a number of times. And it's always the same. That dog skunk urine, very potent. It gets in your nose. You can't get rid
Mm.
of it. Um, well, I smelled that smell, and it was coming from an area that I can't farm because it floods in the spring, and so it's all trees and tall grass. It's about an acre area that I can't farm, and it was coming right from that area. And I thought, okay, I got you. If the smell is you, you're going to be in that small acre area, and I'm going to drive. It was dry. It was July. I'll drive that tractor right through there. Run with little trees and the grass and everything.
Yeah.
So, so I get on and start the tractor, and I'm flooring. Giving it the gas, and I got in second gear. I'm heading for that wetland, or the that area. I call it the wetland area. And I'm going to see this guy. He's got to be in there. The smell's getting stronger as I'm getting there. The smell's getting stronger. And all of a sudden, my tractor goes and dies. I did keep it running. I had to start choking it, put it in the first, play with the gas, and choke to keep it running. And I said, I don't want this thing to stop because I know you're in that field. I was about 50 feet from entering that wetland area, and that tractor would not run. I mean, I kept it running, but I turned then to go towards my barn. Probably got about 400 or 500 feet away from it. The tractor purred right along and run good ever since. That he wouldn't let me drive into that wetland. He was in there. He had to be in there. That smell was there, and my tractor, basically quit running. Now I've had snowmobiles quit running, uh, uh, ATVs quit running. Other things have had trouble out there, mechanical trouble or technical trouble or electronic. A lot of electronic interference for the people that come to film. Their audio won't work or their drones won't work and things of that type.
Yeah, that's happened a few times when I've gone out investigating, and people say, "I charged it before I came here," and then I'm trying to get ready, get my camera out, and it's gone dead.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, the batteries go dead out there often. Yes, that's a big problem in out there. I'll put a game camera out, and 2 days later, 3 days later, all the batteries are dead. Yes.
Tell you what you were saying about the animal prints and things. Some you find them, and then in the snow, and then they seem to disappear, gone.
Yes,
Seem to
they
have
will stop
gone away completely.
completely, or they'll start. I've been in my hayfield, and all of a sudden there'll be two footprints about a foot apart, land next to each other, like they land, and then it'll walk off. My brother Fred says it's parachuting in, because it lands on 2 feet, and then it takes those single 2 foot to 4 foot steps. It's very unique walking because it's in a straight line. There's no straddle. Coyotes have straddle. Deer have straddle. The side to side movement.
That's right.
And this creature tracks are 2 to 4 feet apart, sometimes 4 feet between steps. And they've got to be bipedal. There's no four-legged animal that can take a 4 foot step.
No.
So that's absolute proof that it's absolute proof that it's a bipedal animal in my field. Plus, it takes a 90-degree corner, perfect 90-degree corner, with just no extra tracks. It'll make a 9-degree turn, and that's impossible for a four-legged animal to do that.
How tall do you think these animals are?
Well, the second time I saw it was May 11th, 2021. And I drove back to my hayfield. It was 3:30 in the afternoon. I drove to the back part of my hayfield, the west end of my hayfield. And I was going to pick out SD cards for my cameras. And I pulled up to one of my cameras, and I looked in my neighbor's field. And I knew right away that I'm looking at the Beast of Bray Road. There's a large black figure in the bean field, and the beans were very short.
Yeah.
There's a large black figure. So I got out my truck, and for 3.5 minutes, I took pictures. Well, with this iPhone 11 that I'm talking to you on, with this phone, for 3.5 minutes, I took pictures. Now, what I saw was he was in a crouch, appeared to be in a crouch position, and was moving slightly. Then it stood up on 2 legs. This is what I saw with my eyes. It stood up on 2 legs and walked directly away from me, directly west, away from me. Then it came to the woods there. It dropped down to all fours, and then went into the woods. That's what I saw with my eyes, and that's what the pictures show also. So I have a guy that helped me. He was a cameraman in Hollywood. Now he's in Chicago. And he said, well, if you have a picture of it, Lee, he said, I have computer apps that'll tell you how large it is. It takes into concept of focus, length, and all those things. And all those variables are taken into account. So I sent him the best picture I have of it, and he sent it back, and he said the computer app says it's 6.5 to 7 feet tall, to 3, and the shoulders are 3.5 feet wide.
God.
So there's proof there of how big it is. I'm not somebody saying, well, I look really tall. I got to be 8 feet tall, that's again eyewitness. I have a fact that it was, data that it's 6.5 to 7 feet tall and the shoulders are 3.5 feet wide. So that's how big it is. That's how big it is. Yeah, but I have that one. I have other ones there too. I think I have another one that has a different type of track that may be larger. But that one there, again, again, it was an eyewitness report. So who do I call? Who do I tell? Brother Fred. So I send him some pictures and I call him and I say, okay, I got to go over there because I got to see what tracks are in that area where I just saw it. It was a bean field. The beans were growing, so the tracking was pretty good, but it was very dry that year, 2021. So I got him on the phone and I told him the story and had sent him the pictures. And I said, okay, I'm going to walk over there. Now you stay on the phone. I said, if this thing comes out, just call a coroner. That crazy farmer, he went chasing the beast of Bray Road, and so I walked over cautiously and talking with it, and there were the 5-toed 7-pad tracks right in the area where I had seen it. The 5-toed 7-pad tracks were there. And another thing he did, where he was crouched down, it looked like he took a finger and he drew circles in the ground like a little kid would in the dirt.
Yeah.
They were very obvious that something had drawn circles in the dirt right where he was crouched down. So what's he doing? I don't know what he does. Crazy. He messes with me all the time. Always messing with me.
Well, no,
but
we talked about that one in the snow.
Oh, that one. I don't. Can you see that it looks like a single track?
It does, yeah.
And then what does it do? What does it do at the top of the picture?
It goes to bloody 2 tracks.
Yeah. How does it do that? Does it metamorphosize into 2? Or that was all the way across my field. Single track. What I thought was a single track.
Right.
And then I got like, well, it'd be about a eighth of a mile that I've tracked it. And all of a sudden it split into 2 like that. And I've seen this 4 or 5 times. But is that 2 animals stepping directly in the path? Because you look at the closest to the bottom of the picture, it looks like a single track. Again, a straight line, about 2 feet apart. And then it separates into 2 separate creatures.
How can that be?
I don't know, but Bob, tracks are facts. Look at how clean they separate.
Oh, I've got a better one from here.
Oh yeah, that's a better one. Yeah. If people can see it, it's come along as a single track and goes into 2. Now, was there two creatures walking exactly in each other's tracks, or did this thing metamorphosize into 2 different creatures at one time that quickly? So that's the question right there, because there's a picture of what happened. How do you explain that picture is difficult.
You can't, can you?
No, there's really no way to explain that picture.
Exactly.
But the problem is, Bob, there's a picture. That's a picture of it. What do we do now? I gotta get a drink of water here. Just hang on a second.
You go get a drink of water a minute.
No, I'm just gonna drink here. I'm fine.
Right.
Okay, yeah. The problem is there's a picture. How do you explain that picture, Bob?
How do you?
I can't.
You can't, can you?
That's why I call it observational physics. I just collect the data. Here it is. Here's what happened. Here's a picture of it. I put it in albums. I have a log that's 12 years old, and I have all the electronic data. I have SD card, probably 200-300 SD cards.
This one. Look at that one.
Is that what? Okay, that's
a single one. Print.
Let's
see if I can get it better.
Oh, it's a single print. Oh yeah. That one, yeah, I can't see it very well, but it does have the 5-toed 7-pad track. See the 5 toes around the outside?
Yeah.
See the 5? That's very clear 5 toes there. Yeah. 5 toes 7-pad track. Oh, that's in the snow, right?
That's in snow. That is.
Okay. Yeah. That one, I overlaid with that other one that's from 2020. I overlaid it with a track I had from 2014, and they fit perfect. It's the same exact track. I don't know if you have that one or not. It's kind of got some shadows in it. It would be hard to see.
This one's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's the one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. That's from 2014. The snow one's from 2020. And when I overlaid them, they fit perfectly. Yeah. Oh, that's got the shadow in there. You can see the shadow. That's an overlay picture. You can see the shadow of the snow. The snow print is the shadow. And it's only one toe is off a little bit. All of them match up perfect.
Right.
So that's the same creature has been there for at least, that was 2014 to 2020. It's the same exact creature, same exact print.
Yeah, that's true. What the hell's these? Don't know what them are. Let's have a look.
Oh, look at that handprint. See the handprint on the snow there on my trailer?
Yes.
That I put those are round bales. That's January 23rd of 2025. And I'll tell you the story of that one. So I was I go up now to get hay. We have big round bales, and I put one on my truck, and then I go get another one and put it on my trailer. Okay, so it was a snowy day that day. I put one in the truck. Yeah. Okay, I put one on the truck, and the trailer was there. It had snow on it, and so I had to go get another bale. I spear them with my tractor spear. And I come back to put that bale on my trailer, and the first one you can see the large round bale right above it. I go to put it on my trailer, and I look, and here's this handprint that wasn't there 5 minutes before. And
where you're that on trailer there.
Yeah, that's how I load it. That's actually an example of I put one in the truck, and I put one in the trailer.
Yeah.
And the first one you showed had the hay in it, and then it had the print right underneath it. If I'd have sat it down, I would have ruined the print. But the print's right underneath that bale of hay, which I was going to sit there. Wasn't there 5 minutes before. That thing came up behind me while I was driving the tractor, right by my barn. That's right by my barn.
Oh my
That's
God.
January 23rd, 2025. And show the one with the ruler. That's 10 inches long. That's a 10-inch hand.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Let's have a look.
And my hand, I'm 6'3", 230. I have an 8-inch hand. And that's a ruler I laid beside it for data. And that hand is 10 inches long. And it seems to have an extra finger. It almost looks like it has 5 fingers and 1 thumb. And if you look on the thumb.
It does, yes. Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah. And on the thumb, look at the nail on the thumb. The nail on the thumb part on the other picture, you can see the nail on the thumb. It's long. It's a big nail. All of them have nails. You can see the nails sticking in all of them. But he put that on my trailer right behind me while I was going over to get another large bale of hay. And he's right behind me. And he puts his handprint on my snow. He messes with me.
He does. It sounds as though he messes with you.
Yeah.
My God.
He was right there. That's proof. Proof he was right there. That's not Farmer Brown next door putting a handprint there. He'd have been overlapping.
No. You would know if anybody else were there.
Well, sure. If somebody come, if they put the handprint, they'd hide behind the barn. They come and laugh at me. But that's way, way too big for well, there was nobody there. That's not a Farmer Brown handprint. It's way too big. So that's the front feet or the front hands that this creature has. The beast of Bray Road. And people see it, say it has large front hands or front hands.
So what you got planned for the future then?
Well, I'm doing experiments yet. I mean, I still do experiments. Yesterday I did a EMF experiment for an hour. In EMF, you know about EMF, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've got one.
Do you know what milligauss is or microtesla? The units of measurement.
A little bit, but you probably know more than what I do.
Well, I don't think so, Bob. Milligauss is a unit of measurement of EMF. Now, EMF is electromagnetic force. It takes an electric field to be created. In all your lines, you have EMF waves, of course, next to your high tension lines. Well, you have EMF in your house.
Yeah.
Fluorescent bulbs will give off EMF. You know,
Microwave oven.
microwave give off EMF. Right, right. But it dissipates very quickly. Uh, um, it the formula for the dissipation is 1 over d squared. So it's an inverse squared ratio. So if you move away 2 feet, that's really that means that the amount of radiation or EMF force would be 1/4 of what it was with it, 2 feet. You go away 3 feet, now the amount of EMF force you have is 1/9 because it's 1 over d squared. So if your microwave, let's say, is giving off 10 milligauss, and you move away 3 feet, you'd be getting 3 milligauss, a little bit less.
Yeah.
And 4 milligauss, all your EMF meters exhibit at 4 milligauss exhibit a feature. Well, they'll either flash red or they'll beep, because at 4 milligauss, that's an area that the scientists have not sure, but they feel that is a threshold that you shouldn't stay in above 4 milligauss for a period of time, and that's why you have one in your home. If you got some problem, you have to fix that problem if you have a high EMF field above 4 milligauss.
Right.
Now, yesterday in my field, and this has happened many times. Now, first of all, I'm at least a quarter to a half a mile away from any electric lines, poles, and they're rural. They're just going to the farm. They're not the high tension things the way up in the sky. They're not 5,000 volt. They're just the low ones going down the road on Bowers Road and Bray Road. So I'm a quarter mile away. There's no way I can be getting any any EMF readings from those lines. Just think, 1 over d squared, a quarter mile, we're at 400 yards. So we got a square 400, which we go to 16,000. So the amount of EMF in that field should be 1/16,000th of what is up by the road, which is really nothing either, because these small electrical lines don't give off much EMF.
Yeah.
But yesterday in my field, and it's happened in other experiments, I'm still working on it. I sat there for an hour and didn't have any results. All of a sudden, and this has happened a number of times, all of a sudden my my reader takes off. The meter reader takes off and starts flashing red and beeping, and it went to 1,746 milligauss, 1,746 milligauss, out in my field,
Oh,
where there is no electrical lines whatsoever.
no electricity, nothing.
Nothing. Not possible. But I have done this experiment. I'm still doing it probably 10, 12 times, and I get similar results. Sometimes they'll go to 1,200 milligauss, but yesterday I got 1,746 milligauss in my hayfield. At least, well, I was right in the middle, so I was 3/8 of a mile from both Bray Road and Bowers Road, where there are any electrical lines. I have no electricity out in my field, let alone 1,746 milligauss. That's why that can't happen. It's not possible. Plus, it's transient. It'll come, and it shot the meter up to 1746. About
And
5 minutes, the meter was going off for about 5 minutes, and then it stopped and didn't go off anymore right there. And I had been there for an hour. It didn't go off for an hour.
Have you tried? I know at one time up at Bempton, Paul used to put watches in different places. Watches what do work, and then they go back, and they stopped, all at the same time.
So he had mechanical watches, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have mechanical watches, but it's a good experiment. It would be good. Sometimes that EMF reading goes high, then I'll have a magnetic compass there also, and it won't point north anymore. It'll go east or west or south. The magnetic compass will be off. I have them I lay them down on the ground. I have the EMF meter going above, 1,000 milligauss, and the magnetic compass laying, a couple feet away from it, and
Yeah.
it's pointing west. That whenever that comes, I'm trying to get association with the EMF and the magnetic compass. That's what I'm working on right now.
Ah, I'm with you. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
corresponding association, a correlation between those two.
See what you
Then,
can find out about it
yes, right.
and why it's doing it.
Yeah, because how you have magnetic compass, airplanes still rely on magnetic compasses. They have gyros compasses also, but they still have magnetic compasses. And I have a friend who's a pilot, and I told him about this, and he said, "Lee, your compass has lost its magnetic qualities." I've tried 2 or 3 different compasses, and they all do the same thing. So either I'm buying compasses that don't have magnetic qualities or what. But he said the only place compasses don't work is North Pole and South Pole. Well, they don't work in my field all the time. I have proof of that. My little hayfield in 35 acres in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, next to Bray Road.
Yeah. So about the future. What you more experiments then, I presume?
Sure. Oh yeah. Sure. Yeah, I still have. I have other experiments I'm still working on. I have a chicken hanging on a pole on a shepherd's pole to see if that gets taken. So
Yes.
I
I would. Yeah. Yeah. It's been very interesting tonight talking with you. I know Rebecca in chat room said really interesting, Willie. Thanks so much. Stay safe in your research.
well, thank you very much. Thank you.
And Steph says, love listening to Lee's accounts and also his knowledge about Dogman. Great stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And Rebecca picked up on them 6 fingers.
She thinks it's 6 fingers.
Yeah, she picked up on that.
Yeah, there's something there. Either he's holding something or he's got a 6 finger, and I think it's probably the 6th finger. Yes.
Yeah, I do as well. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Bob, for having me, and thank you to all the listeners, and I hope they enjoyed it. And
I'm
thank
sure
you
they
very
did.
much.
Everybody enjoyed it. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll get you back on in sometime near Christmas sometime.
That's fine.
Night, and you might have more to tell us.
Probably, I hope so.
I'm sure you will do, and I think you'll get more sightings. But keep safe. Look after yourself.
Thank you. I do take a flare gun when I go out there by myself. I don't take a rifle or shotgun. I take a flare gun. Hopefully, if he does come at me, I can scare him away. So thank you for the advice.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, yeah. We need to make sure you're safe.